Hi everybody, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're going to be playing Dropfleet Commander. The day has finally arrived, and we're going to be using the two starter sets that are included in the two-player starter, UCM versus Scourge. We have AMGAS Jake back in the studio.
Hello.
And we're ready to begin, but first we're going to go through the fleets. Jake will be playing the UCM, and we'll go over the UCM fleet first. We've got a Moscow class heavy cruiser, a Berlin cruiser, and a Seattle fleet carrier. We have two New Orleans, and then we're actually going to be proxying these two frigates to be Toulons, so that we're just using the two-player starter set cheat sheet. And then for the Scourge, we have a Shenlong, which is the heavy cruiser here. We have a Ifrit, which is this guy, which is a cruiser with a burn-through laser, and we have a Wyvern, which is a close-range kind of guy. We also have two of the Gargoyles, which are the ground assault, the comparable to the New Orleans, to capture objectives. And then we have two of the Harpies, which are just little combat frigates. So there you go, two starter sets. We're going to be using our starter set cheat sheets. We are playing on a 4x4 board instead of the 2x4 board. We just kind of taped together two starter boxes worth of maps. But we will be using the Expeditionary Raid scenario from the starter set that just has 3 objectives across the middle. So we're going to go ahead and set up everything and be back for turn 1. Alright, the battlefield is set up. In this battle there are 3 clusters in the center of the table, unless Jake has moved it closer to his side. Okay, and then we do have some debris fields that we have to be wary of. That can make it harder to shoot through, destroy bombers, do fun stuff like that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we've got our cards, our formation cards, whatever they're called, ready. So we're going to go ahead and flip them and see who goes first. So, Jake, I've got my... so we both have our line groups. So since we're tied, we're going to go ahead and roll off. So, alright, so you can choose. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You can go first.
Alright, so I am activating my Wyvern Cruiser. Okay, so the Wyvern has moved on 10 inches, which is its max thrust, and I'm just going to keep him on standard orders. At this point, stealth doesn't help me, and I don't want him too close, so I don't want to full burn and have him be shot at on turn 1. So on to Jake's activation for his, what is yours? Berlin. Alright, just to clarify, that was his Seattle. His fleet carrier moved in 7 inches, and no orders. So on to the next card draw. Okay, so the next card is my 7 and your 7. It's like we're on the same page here. So we roll off again. Here you go. Alright, I'll have you go first. So the way this works is because you have 2 groups, you have your Berlin and your 2 frigates, you activate one of those 2 groups and then I go, and we'll go back and forth. Jake's Toulon group has moved up to support the Seattle fleet carrier. Again, we're proxying those. Those are really 2 Toulon frigates. So on to my group activation. Alright, I moved up my Harpies behind this debris cloud. They are going down a level, so they are in low orbit, and that's what the white dashy line represents. And they picked up a minor spike for going full thrust, so they are at yellow for their spike, which adds 6 extra inches to their detection radius. So on to Jake's move. Alright, so his Berlin came on, so it's on standard orders, and it moved to low orbit. Okay, I brought on my Ifrit using the all ahead order, so it moved up 20 inches onto the board, kind of getting into the UCM's face here. So now on to the next card draw, which is a formality because we both have our same 12 group, which is our heavy cruiser and our assault carriers. So since we're tied again, Jake, let's make a roll. 3. All right. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, my mighty Shenlong has moved onto the board. It's also max thrusting, so it moved up 20 inches, and it's staying in high orbit and picked up a minor spike. Just to point out for the Shenlong, it does have a partial cloak and stealth, which won't really apply this turn, but might come in handy later. So here's a view of that. We're going to go ahead and Jake's going to bring on his next group. Alright, Jake has activated his New Orleans assault carriers. He declared for the battle group max thrust. So this New Orleans has max thrusted 20 inches towards this, went down a level to low orbit and has a minor spike. And then over there, the other one, Jake could point to him maybe, he came on with standard orders and is moving towards the other wing. So I'm going to bring on my strike carriers next. Alright, my gargoyles have moved up. They just did standard orders. I don't want to get them too close yet. So they moved up to that objective here on my right, and this one is heading up towards the center objective. And then on to Jake's last group activation for this battle group, his mighty Moscow class cruiser. Okay, the Moscow has come on with standard orders. It's moved down to low orbit, and it is staking a claim on this side of the board. So that's going to be interesting. So that concludes it for activation. We're in the cleanup phase, and I don't think we have anything to do. No ground assets or anything like that. So we're going to be going on to turn 2. Start of game turn 2. First things, we're going to flip our cards. I detect a theme. So Jake Seattle and my Wyvern, we're going to go ahead and roll off. And who do you want to? Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Ooh, risky. All right, I'm going first. All right, my Wyvern has moved up on standard orders, pointing towards this cluster. For sake of this game, we're just going to label the clusters A, B, and C. Alright, so Jake has declared weapons free for his Seattle and moved it up. And he's going to be firing on the, what is this, the Ifrit, I think. My burn-through laser cruiser. They're both at low orbit, so there's no modifier there. The Seattle has 4 dice of mass driver turrets, hitting on a 3. So he's going to go ahead and throw that now. Very nice. So you got 2 criticals and 2 hits. So I get to try to stop the hits with my 4+ armor. So I stop one of them, so it's going to be 3 damage points off the Scourge Cruiser. And we'll use these black dice to mark damage, so the Ifrit has taken 3 damage. Now, you may ask, why did Jake go weapons free if he's just shooting 1 weapon system? He also wants to launch his bombers, which will happen at the end of the turn, we believe. And so to do both, he had to go weapons free. So on to Scourge activation. Okay, that's both of our battle groups activating, so we're going to go ahead and flip. What do you think? We have the same one again. Battle Group A, Battle Group A. We are so predictable. Alright, so that's our big ones, our Ifrit, or sorry, our cruiser and combat frigates. So we're going to go ahead and roll off. You want me to go first, or you go first?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll be back with Jake's decision in just a moment. Okay, so the Berlin has moved up and declared weapons free for that battle group. And he is also targeting my Ifrit, which is 16 inches away within range because I have a minor spike. Both ships are at low orbit. He's going to be firing his mass driver turrets first that are going to be hitting on a 4+. So he got 1 critical out of that shooting. And then you're going to be firing your burn-through laser Also, that's hitting on a 3 and 2 shots to begin with. So you lose 1 die, but everything else you roll from here on out is critical. So roll 1 more die, and then roll 1 more die, and then roll 1 more die, and then roll 1 more die. We can go to a maximum of 6. Oh, and then 1 more die. Alright, so that's 7 points of damage, which explodes the Ifrit. I don't get any saving throw because of the way that the burn through laser worked. Yeah, so the Ifrit is exploded.
I'm sorry.
My Ifrit is exploded. Alright, so we'll go to the damage chart because we've never blown up a ship yet and see what happens. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and roll on the damage table for my exploded Ifrit. So Jake, what do you get? Please roll low. 4.
Shredded.
So 4 is shredded. Okay, just a quick clarification on this explosion. Because the Ifrit had 10 hull points to start the game with, Jake added +1 to the explosion table. So he actually, instead of got a shredded result, he got an explosion result, which is going to do 2 hull points of damage to any ship within the explosion radius. The explosion radius for a cruiser-sized ship is going to be 1d6. So go ahead and roll that. Let's see. And the 2 is just going to be, is not going to get anybody. He needed 3 inches to hit the Shenlong. So 1 Ifrit is gone. Okay, so the Ifrit was in my battle group, so obviously it can't activate. So I activated my my little guys, my harpies, and they declared weapons free, and moved through this fine debris cloud. So each ship has a, we go here to this chart, is going to get attacked twice with a 3+ lock. So the one on my left is takes a critical and a normal hit. Let's see, our 5+ armor will stop that. Nope. So he's going to take 2, and the guy on my right takes 1 damage.
With his armor save.
Oh, with his armor save, so 5+. Alright, takes no damage. But I think 2 damage might be enough to crit that frigate, so we'll be back and figure that out. Okay, so we looked up the rulebook. The Harpy has 4 hull points. It took 2 points of damage flying through the debris field, which cripples it. Now, so we're going to roll on the cripple chart. There was a little discussion. There's a typo in the rulebook, whether it's 50% is cripple or more than 50%. So I think for this game we're going to go with 50% or more is crippled. So Jake's going to go ahead and roll on the cripple table. If you guys disagree with that or there's an FAQ, please let us know down in the comments. But for this game we'll treat it as 50% is crippled. So the first roll is going to tell us what type of crippling damage is a 2, and then another d6 is 5. Engine surge. The ship suffers 2 additional points of hull damage, which I cannot take saving throws.
That would be energy.
Yeah, energy surges, sorry. Energy surges. So basically, I blew up my own frigate flying through the debris field. We can imagine him hitting debris and exploding. Okay, just a quick clarification. These guys don't need to go weapons free because they only have 1 weapon plus their close action weapon, which is free to shoot. So he's just going to be on standard orders and make this attack onto the Seattle. Alright, so first up, my Harpy is going to be firing its Oculus Beam. It's a 3+ lock, 1 attack die, and it'll do 2 damage if it hits. So we got 1 normal hit, so that's 2 damage. So you make 2 saving throws, Jake. Normally on a 3+, but because the Oculus Beam has the Scald rule, it's going to be on a 4+. So you stop 1 and take 1 damage.
Okay.
Then next, I'm firing my Plasma Cloud, which is close action, and it's 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. So we do 2 more damage, and they also have Scald, so it's 2 more 4-up saves.
Okay.
All right, so the Seattle only takes 1 point of damage from my suicidal Harpy run. That's not good. All right, so let's see. You still need to activate your frigate group next. Uh-oh.
Yes.
All right, so on to UCM group activation. Okay, Jake has moved his two Toulons up, and they've turned, pointing their forward arc to my last Harpy. They're going to be firing. They did standard orders, right, Jake?
Yep.
So they don't have any spike, and they are at low orbit, just like the Harpy, so there's no modification. So he's throwing 6 dice, hitting on 4s against the Harpy with his mass driver turrets. Ugh. Okay, so you got 2 crits and 2 hits.
Okay.
So the hits I can save on a 5+. If I fail both of these, I'm just exploded. So I saved 1. So I'm down to 3 hull points. Or down to 1 hull point, sorry. And then you've got your close action weapons, your Shark missile bays.
Yep.
And that's going to be 4 dice total, hitting on 4s.
Yeah, Barracuda missile bays hitting on 4s.
Okay. So you got 2 hits. Now I believe I can try to shoot these down with my weapons. We'll be back to check that out. Okay, so close action. Jake did score 6s or criticals. The Harpy has 4-point defense batteries, so I can throw these to try to stop them. Now here's the thing, it takes 2 successful point defense stops to stop each critical. So I need 4 5+ to stop these hits and keep my ship at 1 hull point. And I don't, so
1.
it explodes. So let's roll the explosion range. I'll roll it this time. Explodes 2 inches, which is probably not going to be enough to touch anybody. So that's another Harpy down. Okay, so that concludes a devastating battle group activation for turn 2. So we're going to go ahead and flip our cards, and it's merely a formality. We are both Group C, which is our heavy cruiser and strike carriers. All right, so we're both tied, Jake. So let's roll a die. And come on, give me 2. We're tied. 3. All right. 5. 4. All right. I am going to go first and get some revenge. Okay, I moved up the Shenlong looking for some revenge, and I declared weapons free. Because I have a partial cloak, though, I'm still at, or is it stealth? Whichever one of those special rules, I keep myself on minor spikes. I can never have a major spike. I've got Oculus beams. I've got 6 of them in arc. So I'm going to be throwing 6 dice in this attack. Okay, here we go. 6 dice, looking for 3+. So we got 2 misses, but we do score 2 criticals. So what we've got is each one of these hits does 2 damage. So it's going to be 4 damage, goes through to your cruiser with nothing to stop it, Jake.
Okay.
And then the scalding Oculus beams make your saving throw 4+ for these. So this is 4. Make 4 saving throws on a 4+. So you stop 2 of them.
2 more.
So you take 6 damage total, which is, I believe, enough to cripple you. Alright, so the Shenlong has crippled the Berlin in revenge, retribution. We're going to go ahead and roll on the crippling damage table. The first die gives us a 3, which is hull. And then 2, scanners offline. The ship's scan characteristic is reduced to 1 until the scanners have been repaired. So no extra damage.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Alright, so that's it for the Shenlong, and that's it for that group. So on to Jake's next group activation. Okay, Jake has decided to move his strike carriers first. The New Orleans one is up here to cluster C, and the other one is all the way over there at cluster A. So it looks like at the end of the turn he's going to start dropping troops onto Scourge activation. Okay, just to recap movement, I activated my what are these, gargoyle assault carriers. So this one moved up to sector C, that one moved up to sector B. This one's within 6 inches of Jake's New Orleans, so I'm going to be firing. First thing I'm going to fire is my Oculus beam, 1 shot with a 3+ lock, but because they're both in atmosphere, I'm only hitting on a 6. So here we go with the Oculus beam. That's a big miss. And then he also has his close action weapons, the Plasma Cloud. So it's 2 attacks on 6. So close. Alright, so that's it for my activation, and now Jake's Moscow. Dun dun dun. Okay, and the Moscow did a change course order, right?
No, max thrust.
Max thrust order. And he is up there, and he has a minor spike. And that pretty much ends turn 2. Just a quick recap. The Scourge were hammered hard. I lost my Ifrit and both of my gargoyles over there in that mess. I did manage to cripple the Berlin cruiser, but that's it. So, before we end the turn though, we do ordnance. So your carrier can launch up to 3 bombers, and we can drop infantry after you're done. So we'll be back once Jake decides what his target's going to be. Alright, so commentators, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Seattle has launched 3 bombers. Are you within 12 of him? Okay. If he's within 12,
yes,
then we resolve the attack right now. So each one of those bombers has 2 attack dice, so Jake's rolling 3 total, hitting on 3s.
rolling 6 total.
Yep. Oh, so 1 critical. And then the Shenlong has a 6-point defense, and these are successful on 5s. I need 2 to cancel out the crit, and I don't get it. So the Shenlong takes 1 damage from these bombers, and then they return back to base. And 1 damage on the Shenlong. Since we both have the same strategy rating in our groups, we're rolling for initiative to see who's dropping troops first. So, Jake, you drop your troops first. So he can drop either an infantry or a tank unit on probably these 2 clusters. That one might be beyond 3 inches. Or not clusters, sectors. And he'll come back and make his choice. Okay, we just went ahead and did all of our drops. Jake dropped infantry. I dropped a tank. I dropped infantry on that sector, and then let's see, this one you dropped infantry. So we're on to turn 3. Alright, so we're starting turn 3. I am out a battle group because all of those ships are dead. So I just have 2 cards in my deck. So let's go ahead and draw. So you get to go first because you have a lower strategy rating. Okay, so Jake activated his Berlin. It did standard orders, came around, and it's going to fire its burn through laser at my Shenlong. Alright, Jake, so roll 2 dice. Looking for 3s. Oh, okay, so 2 crits so far. Everything successful from here on out is going to be critical hits. 2 more. 2 misses. So just 2 crits. And that takes me to 3. And then it's my activation. Alright, before we resolve anything, we're going to go back, and Jake was within 6 inches, so he could have shot his close action weapons at the Shenlong as well. How many dice is that, Jake?
D6 plus 1.
Alright, how many shots you get?
5.
6 shots. And what do they hit on?
6. They hit on 4s.
Alright, so looking for 4s. 6 is crit. 5 hits. Alright, and I have 6 for my defense.
You need
Looking for 5. Yep. So I'll cancel 1 crit. So that leaves 1 crit and 3 regular hits. So that one's gone. So I'll take up my 4-up armor for these. And I take 3 points of damage total. Bringing me to 6 and crippling me. Alright, Jake, roll me on the critical table.
Oh, sweet. Alright.
So what is that chart?
It's the
Alright, so core systems.
2. Engines disabled. The ship suffers 2 additional Points of hull damage. The ship's thruster's characteristics is reduced by 50%, rounded up until the damage is repaired. The ship may not turn or change orbit until the engines are repaired. The ship also becomes subject to orbital decay.
Alright, we've got to go back and redo the movement for the Shenlong as well. Alright, so we redid that movement. I had to move forward, so I ended up there. I'm going to shoot one of my side Oculus beams at the heavy cruiser, the Moscow over here. So I've only got 2 shots, hitting on 3s. And we got 1 hit, and Jake gets a 3+ armor. So the Moscow takes 1 damage. Okay, Jake has moved his Toulon frigates up to try to deliver the killing blow onto the Shenlong. First up, 6 dice of mass driver turrets, looking for 4s. So you got 2 crits. And I can't do anything to stop that, so I am at 10 damage points. 2 away from destruction.
Alright, and then the Barracuda missile bays.
Alright.
2.
2, and then I do have point defense to stop that. Or at least try, looking for 5s. I stop the regular point of damage. And then 1 more critical goes through, so I'm at 11 points out of my 12. On to next. Oh no, sorry. My frigates get to activate next. Okay, I activated my gargoyles, and they just moved up an inch to each one of these sectors, so that hopefully they will survive till the end of the turn and drop more infantry. So, Jake, on to the next battle group. I'm doing my Wyvern Cruiser, and you're doing your Moscow and New Orleans. Right, I have the lower strategy rating, so I get to go first. Alright, so my Wyvern is going to try to bring the Scourge back into this. I'm going to get 2d6 plus 4 for my close action weapon. This is a, what is it called? A Plasma Tempest. 2d6 plus 4. So the Scourge gods need a high roll here. So we got 8 plus 4. So that's going to be 12. And these hit on a 3+. So it looks like we've got 3 crits and that many hits. So Jake, if you want, you have check your stats for your Moscow and see what your point defense is.
5.
Okay, so you're going to throw 5 dice.
No, that's not. Oh, it is 5.
Alright, so throw 5 dice.
I don't get to use my armor?
Not for... No, because you might stop some of these before you get to armor.
Oh.
5 dice. So you can stop 2, so you can stop 1 crit or 2 regular hits.
What's better to stop?
It's up to you.
1 crit, I guess.
Alright, so you stop 1 crit. So all of these dice need a 4+ saving throw because we have Scald. So 2 go through. So 4 damage total.
To 5.
And then he's also going to fire his Oculus Beam 1 shot at 3+. So that's a hit. And it's a 2 damage for that, so roll 2 armor on 4 pluses.
The beam doesn't need to come out the front.
It comes out of the front, but not the narrow front. So 1 more damage goes through, which is enough to cripple you. So let's go to the cripple table. 2 and 1. I think that's the...
Right, flash and nothing else. Lucky escape, place a minor spike on the ship. If the ship was using silent running special orders, it loses the benefits, and the ship's signatures are turned to normal.
Okay, so
minor spike.
You get a minor spike and that's it. So that's like the best critical you could hope for. Alright, so and that's it for my Wyvern and my turn, actually. So on to Jake's activation. Okay, so the Moscow moved up the minimum required distance, 3.5 inches, and declared weapons free. First thing Jake's going to be throwing is his large mass drivers, 8 dice, hitting on 3+. So 4 misses, not bad, but no crits. Alright, I can live with that. And so these ones, I'm going to get a 4-up save. So 1 point of damage so far. Next up, he has 2 shots with his 4+ mass drivers. And of course he gets 2 hits. So 1 crit goes through automatically. I can't stop that. But I do have a 4-up. So 2 more damage. So I'm at 3. And then you have your close action weapon, which is 1d6 plus 2, I think?
Plus 1.
1d6 plus 1. Alright.
2.
So you get
3.
3 total. Hitting on 4s.
Nope.
Nada. So the Wyvern escapes relatively unharmed, 3 points of damage. 2 away from crippling damage. On to Jake's next activation, which will be his strike carriers. Alright, Jake activated his New Orleans strike carriers. Just moved him to keep him within range of Cluster C and Cluster A. So I have no more battle groups to activate, so Jake goes straight to the activation of his Seattle class carrier. I think that's the last thing here. Then we'll wrap up turn 3 with the launch phase. Okay, Jake moved up his Seattle to get within probably 12 inches to launch bombers at the end of the turn at my Shenlong. And I think that's it for movement, right? No other ships to move?
Oh, do the bombers count as a weapon to fire?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Jake's placed his 3 bombers up against the Shenlong. He's going for 6 dice, looking for 3s. Can he deal the killing blow to the Shenlong? Ugh, okay. So, he's got 2 crits, and I don't think I can stop that no matter what. So, these, let's see, I have 6 point defense. Even if I get all 6 though. No. He's destroyed. So let's see, the blast radius is 6 inches, nice. And the result, well, let's see, another 6. Which is going to be, 4 goes to 5.
So, explosion.
Okay, so each one of these ships takes 2 damage. The Seattle's out of the explosion radius, but these guys do. So roll 2 3-up armors for the Berlin. Okay. So he's good. 2 4-up armors. So he takes 2 damage.
He just takes 1.
Oh, he's armor 3 now?
Oh, no, 4. He is 4-up, sorry.
Yeah, so he takes 2 damage and he's crippled, and this guy is fine. So now, let's roll on the crippling table. I guess I will do that. The first chart is the middle chart. And then hull, and then the second die is 5.
2 additional points.
Okay, so he's exploded. He's gone. Then this frigate explodes. Let's see how far. Jake, roll a d3 to see how many inches he explodes. 3 inches, which I think is going to hit both the Berlin and the other frigate. Then, so we're having a cascading explosion. So let's see what kind of explosion it is. Roll a die to see the type of explosion. Yes, same thing. 2 damage points. So explosion. He needs 2 3+ armor saves. So he's good again. He needs 2 more 4-up armor saves. He is now crippled.
Are you sure this is how you do this?
He is destroyed. Okay, so he's got 2 damage on him. He is now crippled. So here's the cripple table. The third chart, number 1, or number 2, sorry.
Engines disabled.
Okay.
So for 2 additional points of damage, so he's dead.
Okay, so he's exploded. And then roll a d3 for his explosion radius. So that's going to hit the Seattle, and you might need to measure to the Berlin.
No.
He's not within 3?
No.
Okay. Then here's the type of explosion. Number 3. What's number 3?
Blazing wreck.
So no damage to anyone else, correct?
They all gain minor spikes.
within, so just the Seattle.
Yeah.
All right, so he goes to a major spike, and that one is gone. So your bombers killed 3 ships in that pass. That's
Yes,
impressive.
They did.
All right, so on to the ground phase. All right, so we did that out of order, but I think everything's okay. The bomber should have launched after ground combat. So we're going to go ahead and do ground combat. I think we have to roll initiative still. So we're going to have an initiative roll off. Jake, I got a 3. You got a 5. So you have initiative, so you go first. If you'd like to move a guy in one of the sectors to fight or move him to a different one, you can do that.
You'll just stay there.
You can just stay there. So then, in my movement phase, I'm going to drive him over there. And now we fight. Alright, so here I've got my tanks. I'm going to get 3 dice, 4+. I do 1 point of damage to you. Infantry have a 5-up save versus in ground combat, so you need a 5-up to keep him alive. So he's dead, but he does get to swing back at the same time, so he can hurt me on a 4+.
I only get 1 die.
Only 1 die for infantry. And does nothing. So that infantry is dead. Right, so now we're dropping infantry or vehicles from our strike carriers. Jake has initiative, so... Okay, so we just did all of this off camera. Jake dropped a tank. I dropped a tank. Jake dropped a tank over there. So he's pretty much controlling that cluster. That's a no-brainer over there. And then up here in the middle... Oh, yeah, I need to drop. I'll drop a tank. Okay, just a quick recap of the end of turn 3. My Shenlong heavy cruiser exploded and took out 2 frigates with it. The Wyvern escaped serious damage from the Moscow, and the Moscow was crippled in return. We dropped more infantry and tanks onto the objectives. On to turn 4. This is a scoring turn, so that's important for points. So on to cards. Do you have your cards set up yet, Jake?
Oh, no.
Okay, we'll be back for cards. Okay, so here we go for cards. 5s. Alright, we're going to dice off. Come on, the Scourge need this. I will go first. Alright, so my Wyvern has moved up. I'm still in side arc of the Moscow, so we're going to go ahead and roll for my Plasma Tempest. 2d6 plus 4 shots. Oh, so that's going to be 14 shots at the Moscow. Alright, so here are 14 dice hitting on 3s against the Moscow. So, well... Oh, wow. That is terrible. Alright, so we got 2 critical hits, Jake, and 4 normal hits. What is your point defense? 5 for the Moscow?
Yes.
Is that right? So you're going to get 5 dice. You need 5s. So you can stop 3, or you can stop 1 crit and 1 regular, or 3 regular.
We'll do 1 crit and 1 regular.
Alright, so you've got 3 more hits.
With 3 up armor?
4+ because of Skull.
Oh, yeah.
So you take 1 damage, plus 1 more damage. Gives you 8. You came out with that.
Wow, that was crazy.
Better than I thought. And then that's it for the Wyvern. So on to your activation with your Seattle. Okay, so the Seattle moved in a straight line to get over this central cluster, and it's going to be firing his mass driver turrets. Alright, so the Seattle's mass driver turrets are firing into the Wyvern, hitting on 3s. So we got 3 hits, and I get my 4-up save, and I take 1 more point of damage.
What's its whole value? 10?
10, yep. Okay, next group, I'm doing my 12, which is just my gargoyles.
My 7.
And your 7, which is your Berlin and your frigates, which are dead, so just your Berlin. Alright, and then you are the lower value, 7 to 12, so the Berlin gets to go first. Alright, so next up, the Berlin turned and moved, so it's on general orders, lining up a shot on my Wyvern. It's within 12 inches. He's firing his burn through laser as his one weapon, so that's 2 dice hitting on 3s. So it's 1 hit so far, so keep rolling 1 die. So now everything else is going to be a crit after that. So keep going.
This gun is...
That's another crit.
That's a normal.
It's a crit.
Oh, it is. That's right, yeah.
Another crit. Oh, he finally missed one. 5 hits, though. This one is a normal hit. So I can stop it on a 4+, which I don't. So I take 5 hits. That takes me down to 9 damage points. So if you get one of the cripple results that explodes me or adds more damage points, I am dead. So go ahead and roll what chart?
Alright, so here we go.
The middle chart.
Hull.
Alright, 1 or 2. I'm hoping lower numbers are better for me.
Yes, they are. 1 or 2. So scanners offline. Your scan characteristic is reduced by 1 until scanners have been repaired.
Okay, so I don't take any
That's
extra
fine.
damage. I'm 1 point away from destruction, though. And the Seattle hasn't launched its bombers yet. Uh-oh, that's going to be ugly. Alright, so on to Scourge activation, which is basically my gargoyle strike carriers. Alright, the gargoyles are just staying in atmosphere. They just moved up an inch over there. And that's it for my turn. You've activated everything, right, Jay?
No.
You haven't activated. You've got one last group.
Yeah, the heavy cruiser and the Orleans.
Oh, yeah, right. That heavy cruiser has been causing me all kinds of trouble. All right, so Jake's heavy cruiser and strike carriers. Okay, so with the Moscow, Jake went with the turning order, so he turned twice. And he's firing 1 weapon system at the Wyvern, trying to deliver the killing blow. 4 dice on 3 with his mass driver turrets. 5's crit.
1
I
crit.
got 1 crit, which is enough to kill me. And no one is within 6 of him, so he just kersplodes. And that's it for the Wyvern. Okay, so that's it for all the activations of all the battle groups. Now on to ground combat. We roll for initiative. See who goes first. I got a 5. Jake will give me a 4, so I'll choose to go first. I'm going to move... I'm going to move...
Your tank into my tank.
tank on tank action. Just 1. And then let's go ahead and go straight to combat. So we each get 3 dice. Hitting on 4s. I got 1 hit. You got 3 hits, so you make 1 save on a 3+. So you're good. I may have to make 3 saves on a 3+. So my tank unit is destroyed.
Do you only need 1 to fail and blow
Yep.
things down?
Alright, next up for the drop phase, my gargoyle is dropping a tank unit there. And that gargoyle is just going to drop another infantry over there in the middle. Alright, so it's the end of turn 4, so we're going to do scoring. So here's how the scoring works. Jake controls this cluster. It's a medium cluster, so he gets 3 points. He's also has a ship in low orbit within 6 inches, so he gets 2 points for that. So it's 5 so far. He definitely has ships in low orbit within 6 inches of this cluster for another 2 points, so he's at 7. Plus he's contesting over here this sector for 8 points. The Scourge have this cluster under control. It's a large cluster for 4 points, and they have this cluster under control because they hold 2 out of the 3 for 3 points. So that's 7. So 7 to 8. And I think with 7 to 8, looking at the board, I think we're going to have to call it here. I don't think there's any way as the Scourge for me to... I mean, I can drop another 1 or 2 more infantry, but he's going to hold all the clusters and get even more points and move away. So I think with that, on turn 4, it's a UCM victory and a Scourge defeat. Congratulations, Jake.
Thanks for the game.
All right, and we're going to go into an after-game show in just a moment. All right, so this is the after-game discussion. it was a pretty decisive UCM victory. Jake, you had, let's see, you started with 7 ships, and you still have 5 ships on the board. The 2 ships that died because of explosions because of you.
I blew them up indirectly.
So you pretty much killed everything. So first, what do you think of the game so far? Your first exposure to Dropfleet.
It's a pretty fun game. I feel like we got a few minor things wrong just throughout it, but it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot simpler than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So, how do you like the UCM?
They're pretty cool. I like their ships a lot, especially this guy's Cobra laser.
The burn through laser. Yeah, that guy. Oh, that guy. He did max damage, I think, 2 times. Well, I don't think he missed 1 out of his max damage.
Yeah, I could have blown up your second ship in one go.
So yeah, losing initiative and losing my Ifrit cruiser before he even got to shoot his burn through laser, I think was critical. And then over here, when the Moscow and the Wyvern were right next to each other, and I whiffed that attack, and you blocked most of the damage. If that Moscow could have been destroyed, it might have been a little bit different. You probably still would have won, but
that part was a little anticlimactic because he really didn't do anything. He did like the final nail in the coffin shot over there, but that was really about it.
Yeah, that's true. So, and then the ground combat's pretty simple, but that's good, I imagine, so that it doesn't drag the game down too much. We could play a game of Dropfleet for each one of those clusters, which
Make
might
it
be a
last
little
forever.
excessive. But there you go, folks. That is our first game of Dropfleet Commander. This is using the starter fleets and the 2-player starter set. So everything we did here you can do with just the 2-player starter. There's nothing extra you need for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please go ahead and leave any comments, suggestions down below. If we missed a rule, please go ahead and leave it below. That's how we're going to get better. And thanks for watching. Keep on wargaming.